So the 13 Moons coloring book was created as a teaching resource for schools, but also I wanted to create something that anybody could pick up and use just because they liked the pictures or they connected with a certain moon, a certain month. And the overall idea of the 13 moons is Indigenous calendars, First Nations calendars, do not really follow the typical 12-month calendar that you would see like in any convenience store, bookstore, wherever you would buy a set of calendar. It follows the moon cycles. So with each full moon is an indication of not necessarily a season, but it indicates certain things are changing, certain things will be soon to occur. So the blooming moon, which happens in May typically, will be the time when the flowers start to bud. It's just a time when spring is kind of well in progress. So that kind of indicates how each of the names of the moons come about. Is there some kind of significant event that occurs and the moon is named for said event, just to kind of keep track of time and know what's coming up and know what to prepare for. My name is Angela Benedict. I am the artist of the 13 Moons coloring book. I'm from Shishigwaning First Nation on Manitoulin Island. I grew up there my entire life and was always kind of surrounded by the natural world, which definitely influences my art even today. I came to Thunder Bay in 2006 to do my post-secondary education. And while I was pursuing that, I also started to dabble in painting and really started to develop my style. I hope you enjoy this coloring book. I really enjoyed putting it together, and thank you. Here's what you get with the 13 Moons coloring collection book. So with the 13 Moons coloring book, this is what you'll be getting. It is a 9-inch by 13-inch full color sketchbook, essentially, spiral bound. And inside with each moon is a story. So it talks about either the design itself or it explains where the name came from, and it also provides additional names for each of the moons. So not all moons have the same name depending on the culture. Some of them have similar names but are different. It also gives some information about this book, so why it was created, what it can be used for, a note on elder protocol. So because each region can have a different name for each moon, and you might want to have something more local, you can approach an elder and it gives you some information on how to do that in a respectful way. So continuing all the way through, each and every image has its stories, which then goes into a full page version of each that you can color however you like. And they have perforated edges. So once you've completed your masterpiece, you can rip it out and frame it or give it to someone, whatever you like. So at the very back of the coloring book is a bio about the author and their inspiration. And the back of the book has a smaller version of every single image, as well as information about the artist again, and information about the creative company. When you consider geography and the various cultures and the various languages, you might get different moon names for different months, different full moons. And that's because when you consider geography, one area might not experience leaves dropping until October, where some might experience it in September. And the same thing with migrations. So the idea of these 13 moons is I selected various names, mostly from the Northern Ontario region, but definitely more Ojibwe and Cree. Basically, these are just a small selection of names that can be used, but just because maybe in your area you have a different name for a different moon, that's perfectly fine. What you see in the book is not the definitive name for every single moon. It's an interpretation, it's stories that I grew up with, it's stories that I learned over the years. It's not meant to be definitive. It's not meant to be, this is the name of this moon and this is the only name of this moon. It can be anything.